Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I was originally going to do this video outside for y'all, but I just decided to shoot it in here because why not? I'll get out in nature in a little bit. You'll see me out there in nature in a little bit for some of these videos, but that requires me to walk, and I'm so sore from working out that don't worry, I'll get my butt out there soon enough. But for now, this will suffice. So, anyways, I hope you guys are staying strong out there in the matrix. Remember that your power comes from within. You are divine. I don't know, I'm like spitballing for this intro, but is that the right term? I never use that phrase. I'm over here yapping. Anyways, love y'all. Remember your power is within you. Remember you're divine. Let's kick off this video. So today I've been getting this idea to do a video about how I've come to know God and how did I come to know that I was divine or that I was just this spark of light, or what happened? Was it some woo woo stuff? Did I come across the channel that said you are a chosen one? No. It was much darker than that. I had the definite, what they call now the tower moment. I don't know. Apparently, in the manifestation communities out there, there's some people that believe you have a tower moment in your life before everything begins to manifest. And I would say, just in general, for the whole concept of a spiritual awakening, you have a pretty big reveal that flips your life upside down. I wouldn't necessarily call it a tower moment, but everything does seem you can perceive like it's going to hell in a handbasket, but also it's all for your benefit. And then everything kind of chills out after, and then you realize, oh, okay, that was all necessary to happen. But for me, that's exactly how I've come to know God and come to know Source, that is myself, or my power that is one with God. I am divine, whatever you want to say. Some people don't like, I'd be careful because some people don't like the whole I am God, because then the religious programming activates and they're, what? That's sin. You claim you're God? What? And it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But so for anyone who may be offended by that, I'm so sorry. But it's just how I've come to know, and I can't say my human mind understands God, but I have reached the understanding of what I am in essence, and that just can't be denied because it's literally changed my life. Any anxiety, overthinking, depression, all that stuff that I had literally lifted when I went through the experiences that I experienced, and it's been beautiful, dude. And there's some times where I could wake up feeling so loved that I almost want to cry, because it's really this, you are put into this state of not needing anything outside of yourself, and truthfully the things you start to attract in your life just completely flip. But I still stumble here and there. But so, to give you guys the origin story, man, it's so weird to think back to it because it feels like a past life now. But I lived with my friend and his mom and his sisters, and I was going through a really rough time at the time with my family because I was like the black sheep. Again, you'll hear this from a lot of awakening people or awakenings, that the person in the family is a black sheep. My family had two black sheeps, apparently. My cousin, she's doing really cool things out there, manifesting a lot of cool stuff in her own part of reality, where she's got this village of mothers. She did a TED talk, man. She's out there killing it. And she was one of the black sheeps, and then I was the other one, where it just felt like we were just brought here to undo this family trauma we were born into, and et cetera, et cetera. So you already know my background was heavily psychological, just torment, dude. Torment, fights every day. Oh man, it was ridiculous. And I was the one that had to be the emotionally mature child in the house, where it was like, you know, the more grown adults came to you for like the advice or venting. You know how some people, they feel comfortable just venting to you, and you have that sort of energy. That's always been me in my life. And I heard things that you feel like you probably really shouldn't be telling a kid. But and of course then I had the whole background thing where you grow up and you get much older, and then you try to go back and tell the parents what they did, except for my mom, more on the stepdad. But you try to go back and tell them what effect they kind of had on your mentality and your psychological programming, and then they go, what? I did that to you? So that's my story. And anyways, around the time when I graduated, tons of stuff happened. But academically and everything, I was always able to excel. Like that was never a problem for me. I even got offered to graduate early, but I didn't take it because I wanted to graduate with my class, which resulted in me having literally a half day for the entire senior year, which was cool. I had like 3 classes and I just went home. It was just so much fun. But that was a big accomplishment to me because I had struggled with self-confidence for a while, and I was quiet to a degree. I've always had my girlfriends here and there, really really awesome people, but also there was still a part of me, a self-esteem lacking, or a confidence, you know and it was an interesting like battle for me growing up, right? But I came from a kid who probably, like, literally, if myself from the past would look at myself now and what I've grown with other brands on other channels, he wouldn't even believe the individual I've channeled to become now. Like, even I mean, I've been in Florida, literally set up my tripod and speak in front of tons of people just walking by, and people will stop and ask me, what am I doing, and blah blah blah. And I make connects. That was never me. I was that same boy was an individual who was scared to order his own food at restaurants. I would just go completely silent, keep my head down. So, it's very interesting to look at how you really do, your concept of self totally shifts your life. But this is the person that I was growing out of at the time, and really coming to understand what it meant to be a man for me, and what it meant to be and truly love yourself, and just be a human and be able to exist by just being you. And during this time, I was struggling, saying, like, I was yelling to the skies when I was living with my friend and his mom, just yelling, like, God, why me? Like, why am I so different from everybody else? Why am I having these visions? Because when I was 18, I started getting these visions of, like, some things to come to pass, where it was like I had a family member that I knew I was gonna die, that I knew that was gonna die, like a year or 2 years before the actual date. And as it got closer, I started getting visions of the number of, like, the date of when this person was going to die, and it was crazy, and they ended up dying on that date. And all of these visions, I just didn't understand. I went through trying to look in different religions, and even ask people in certain that believed in God in a certain way, hey, like, what am I seeing, and blah blah blah, what is all this? I was even told by one person that I was blessed by the devil. And so that shows you a little bit of my relationship with religion. That's when I started to realize there's a lot of religious programming in the world. And I just asked God, like, why am I so different? Why am I just so different from everybody else? And just like, why does it feel like I'm 18 but I'm 30 years old? I would always say this, like, I'm like way advanced in my mentality and wisdom than others. And that's the thing, these aren't things that I thought to myself in an egoic way. These were things that I was told, from it would be teachers that would tell me my wisdom is beyond my years, and this. But it isolated me. It made me feel like, it didn't make me actually feel special. It felt like I couldn't relate, or I couldn't find my tribe. And it felt good in a sense where it was like, okay, I'm advanced. But it's also like, it's like, why am I really here? That's why that question of why do I exist always came. And I remember one day I finally had enough. I broke down. I was like, wasn't working at the time, living with my friend, trying to figure it out, trying to, like, be an entrepreneur, just trying everything, trying to really find my passion, and I got to give a big shout out to his mom, because his mom and his family, but mostly his mom, lifted that sort of pressure to feel like we had to grow up too quick, or had to have it all figured out. But that's sometimes the pressure on the younger generation, especially us as Gen Z, man. It's just like, there's so much stuff that just was going awry when our generation became adults, as you see in the grand scheme of the Matrix. But all this stuff, I felt all these pressures every day. And she was such an awesome fucking soul and individual, as like this person who just did never rushed us to do anything, never made it feel like I was a burden. And that's another problem with me, is I'd hate feeling like a burden for people. At least on my old version of myself, I never wanted to feel like I was taking up too much space. I would make sure, I'm not, etc., etc. Oh man, there's so much funny stuff I could tell you about that. But anyways, long story short, you know, I'm one day comes, I'm crying. Like I'm crying in her basement, and she doesn't even know the story. I don't even know if his mom would find this channel. He knows about this, of course, but I'm crying. I'm by their washer and dryer, or well, I think they just had a washer and dryer at the time. Just crying, sitting there like, you know what, like screw this. Like I don't even know what to do. And I decided to go walk the train tracks one day. Like the city we lived in was like split in multiple cities, and I decided to just walk to this other city. And I was walking out on the train tracks, and I remember just looking up at the sky, looking at the ground, just like distraught. I was just like, man, this life, like this reality isn't for me. Like, is this all there is? You work, sleep, eat, die. Like you like this can't be. There's got to be more to it. There's got to be. It's just like and I'm asking all these questions, and I'm telling you, if you could think of questions you've had esoterically about reality, trust me, I've asked them all to myself. I've said the worst and the best things to myself, everything. And that's why I know what really works is I was going in. And at the same time, I was attracting really cool connections and stuff to still come to me at the time. But I didn't know how to truly accept and, you know, just operate with some of these things. It was wild. It was a wild time. But, so this day I'm walking, I'm screaming up to the sky. I'm kind of kicking the rocks on the train tracks. I'm like, why am I here? Like, and I'm also like a breakup that destroyed me, and I felt like I lost the love of my life at the time. It was just like, it was, and again, it's very funny too because then this person that I ended up dating after the relationship that I felt like I lost the love of my life, I ended up playing a big role in their life where they came back years later when I was dating somebody new to just thank me for all the stuff that I tried to tell them because during dating them I had all these visions and stuff still going on where I was predicting things to happen and blah blah blah. But yeah, that person was awesome. Shout out to her. She knows who she is if she watches this video. But during that time, it's like so. Then I had like two breakups on my belt, so I was really just like just going through it, and even there was even a point. There's a lot. There's just a lot. Like in terms of emotional trauma, I think I've damn near hit some of the craziest heights you can as a human. That now I definitely know that there's crazier stories out there, but at least for what I was meant to experience, I was put through it all at once. And so all these things of feeling like a burden, feeling like a loser, staying, living with my friends' parents, just feeling like why can't my family just be normal? What I see on TV, like all of these questions, stirring and overthinking. I think just something clicked on that train track. I just broke, and I yelled to the sky like, "Yo, God, like, you know what? Fucking strike me down." I said I would say stuff like this, like this is how, and this is how I've really come to know that I was divine the whole time, because I'm a big gamer and I've been a gamer my entire life. That was my mentality. I was like, you know what? I'm max level. I was like, I'll take you on, God and the devil. I'll take on both. Challenge, like and that's what I'm saying is that's why I also know all this witchcraft and stuff that people are so spooky and scared of, and they be like, be careful what names you invoke and stuff. I knew all these entities were me back then. And it's very funny to know now that a lot of that energy has come back in actual full force power. When back then I didn't really know what I was invoking, but I do now because I was really saying, you know what, I'll take you both on. You tag team my shit. I'll fight the devil and I'll fight God. Like I was so frustrated at reality. I was feeling real badass on those train tracks when I said that though. I was like, yeah, I was like, God, you're real. Speak to me. I want to see this shit. I want to see it. Or I was saying crazy shit. I was like, or I'm gonna smoke the devil and you. I'm gonna beat both of y'all asses. Like I was going crazy. I was really sitting there imagining it like a full on anime battle, and I love anime too. Gamer and anime, weeb. But I was going full force because I was like, you know what? Like I'm having all these visions, but people who say they're godly and follow you are calling me a devil, this, that. And at the time, I wasn't even out there preaching that I was psychic or anything like this. I just had to accept the reality for what it was. I was like, yo, I'm having visions. There's nothing I can do about it. So, you know, again, people at the time, there's like, I heard like through the grapevine that apparently I lost my mind and all this shit. And it's just funny to see all the climate of what spirituality became nowadays. And I'm just like laughing because it's like, bro, in my time, I was going through it where you didn't have like 100 people, I don't know, 100, 200 people on TikTok, different conscious creators now. And now there's conscious rap all over. And it's like, at the time that I was going through my awakening, it really felt like it was like we were the rebellion, like that was going to really shift Earth's consciousness back. But there's all still indigenous tribes and all that that share the same beliefs as me. So didn't really, I didn't feel too alone, but I definitely did feel way more alone than how widely more accepted it is now. I also saw content creators say that don't let it fool you, even though you see conscious creators and spiritual creators, it's still taboo and whatever, but it doesn't feel like how it did years ago, trust. But anyways, long story short, so I'm yelling all this. I'm like, bro, I will box you. Like I wanted to have the ultimate anime boss battle with God and the devil. I wanted to smoke both and take the throne. And I'm just saying this to y'all to kind of be funny, but also stress at how serious this was for me. And I might not be doing even the best. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job because I'm telling you guys, it was intense. I was like, fuck this. I need to know. And long story short, one night, right? And this message didn't come for a while, but I decided to go back to my parents because they got a house. And they how my mom says she remembers it is that I decided to we when they got their new house, I decided to move in with them or something like that from the beginning, but I still ended up going back to my friend's house for a period of time because I just couldn't deal, excuse me, I couldn't deal with the arguing and the arguments. It was like I was getting too old for it. And even though I understood it, and it's like they have their own problems, and I understand they were they were young ones too, and all of that. Don't worry, I had the wisdom of that. It's just like, hey, you're too old to be repeating these same patterns of fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Doesn't it get old? The years of fighting and fighting and fighting. So, you know, a lot of my awakening and wisdom after the fact definitely rubbed off on them. I would say it's funny to see, but um, so essentially I moved back, and one night before I created one of my brands it's like a channel I have out there that's almost at 5,000 subscribers. Um, and I got so many connects through that, so many indie game developer connects and people in real life, just so much fun that has been, manifested through that channel. The night that channel was like on 0 or 10 subscribers, you know, I was like, remember, I like literally just said to God, I was like, I low key feel like you've been guiding me this whole time. And maybe it was because I let go and actually just started doing things. But I was like, if you really are here, you know what? Like, let me come a little bit correct. Show me a sign. Show me who you are. Show me do something that points me to where you are, who you are, and whatever. And all I can say to y'all is on this day, this is what happens. This is after all this. This is like maybe months after or a year, but one day, right? Or this night, I'm sitting there and I'm dozing off at my computer desk. And I had asked a question. And I'm like, I'm in that woozy state, like that meditative state. And I'm like, you know what? I was just thinking about everything I was creating and everything in the future. And as I'm nodding off, all I hear is, I'm like, man, who is God? And all I hear in a thundering voice is, you, like you. And I was like, what the fuck was that? It sounded like it sounded like an entity using my voice, but with everything unlocked. Like I'm talking, it was me without any of the bullshit, just like a pure knowing, right? Nothing else. Then after that day, I was shocked. I woke up like like what in my chair? I was like, literally, what the fuck was that? What in the fuck was that? I was like, there's no way I just heard that. Like I went out my room looking, seeing if my parents fight, everything. lights completely off, house entirely dark, darkness, nothing. That shit was my consciousness. And I never heard some shit like that, right? Auditorial, like it was auditorially, is that a word? Clear. No auditorial, but auditorially like pristine. It was an immaculate voice. And the days following that, not only did my like consciousness become sharper and I became more on it when it came to like predicting things and whatever, and it felt like things started to, and oh man, I don't even get me started about deja vu and how everything was deja vu, because there's just parts of my story I'm just skipping, but um days after that came another dream where it was a wild dream where I was predicting like almost like how the entire day was going to go. It was almost like I was seeing the whole day play out before I woke up and actually played the day out. And at night I went to sleep after having this dream. So it's the same sort of day. So it's like I had a dream the night before that predicted the day. The day felt very dreamlike to that dream. Then I went to sleep at that night and I woke up sweating. And when I came out the room, everything was syncing up. It was like the football, like this. It was like 2 a.m. first of all, and my stepdad was watching like a game on TV or some rerun, and the announcer was like announcing every move I was making. Like I would turn to the left, and the announcer would be like, "Oh, he turns to the left, he doubles back," and I'm like, "What?" So like the TV was matching all my movements, and then for some reason, my mom was like in the kitchen making like a late night snack or something, and whatever she was making, like the microwave beeps and everything was like synced up, like it was one gigantic movie or like music video I was living in. So then I said, I was like so like almost like disorientated, and my mom even asked me like, "What's going on? Are you all right?" Because I like came sprinting out the room hearing all this shit. I run into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I stare at myself. And if you ever heard people say this before, mirrors are portals. But I'm looking into the mirror and literally all of a sudden my face starts warping and changing and like looking like holographic and like also like pulsing like purple in some spots, and it looked like storm. It looked like there was like a storm running through my skin, like electromagnetic fields and shit. And I'm like, am I actually seeing this? Am I dreaming? And no, guys, I was completely awake. And then I asked again. I was like, "Are you God?" And I swear my face like did like a this in the mirror, like a little, and then went back to normal. And I was like, "Holy shit, it's me!" Like I'm I'm like I'm a fragment of God here having a human experience. And that's when it all clicked and everything started making sense. And of course, I can tell you all other stuff with, you know, plant medicine and things like that. But this was one of the most eye-opening awarenesses. And literally, after these small dreams started to happen, the dreams just started getting better years after that. I mean, like dreams where like it would be entities literally coming down to me and being like, "Remember who you are," and me feeling this energy surge through my body, and I would wake up sweating. Like what I can tell you is no matter if you're offended or not, this is at least reality for me. So I'm always gonna 100% assume that I'm on the godly side, and I only see it now as going out of myself would be sin. And what I realized through this, let me make sure I'm recording still. But what I realized through a lot of this is that you really don't need anything outside of yourself. You are energy, you are source. So the dreams that followed just showed me this, man. I've had dreams where I literally went to other people and asked me, "Hey, what do you think the symbolism was?" Because there was like this mother draped in some shit and she was telling me to remember her and remember love. And it's like some people thought, "Hey, you may have," because I go to people who don't try to manipulate you when you ask for symbol like or dream deciphers, because I can decipher my own dreams and I've done it for other people with remaining unbiased. You got to have that trust, because people, tarot card readers and shit, can manipulate you if they're not, you know, they can't manipulate a person who has a high vibration, but some people get manipulated sometimes. I just want to throw it out there. Nothing wrong with tarot or dream deciphering and stuff, but just be careful because you have all the answers within you. But some people told me that was Mother Sophia. And I'm like, that was Mother fucking Sophia? I met Mother Sophia. And I'm telling you guys, these have been my dreams for the past like 4 or 5 years now. I used to have wild, crazy, out there dreams. Now it feels like all the dreams I have are like, it feels like entities, whether you want to say pantheons of gods, telling me, remember home, come home. You're not home. Remember who you are. Don't get trapped there. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and I'm telling you guys, this is real. This is just my experience. So when I talk now, hopefully going into other videos, I hope you understand why I interact with God the way I do, because to literally ignore this or try to go outside of it, it feels like I'm literally sinning or forsaking the God within myself. And I just understand that that's really the only true sin you could commit, is you basically are like selling your soul when you're not living in alignment to who you truly are, which is a divine being. Because let's be honest, these dreams aren't connected to my ego, because I don't have a inflated ego and I've never been a confident person. Now there are certain people who can get a spiritual ego, but even after I've had these dreams, I haven't felt this inflated self-importance where I need to go and save the world. No, I came to the realization you only save yourself and you lead by example. So those who hear my message and resonate and think, I've gotten messages like this, dude, you're something special, you're this, I can't put my tongue on what you are. I literally reflected back to them and be like, you're special and you're the same as me and you could do everything I did. So I never take any spiritual ego with this, but the one thing I won't ever do is allow someone to downplay my experience. It's like, these are my experiences. Doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. I will always believe I'm one of God's chosen based on these dreams I've had and the things that I've attracted in my life. It's just like, there's no denying it. And if I was to deny it, I'd be stupid. I would be sinning. So I gotta say that because I feel like there's a lot of misleading stuff online when it comes to raising your vibration and all this stuff. So I just want to be a beacon of light for those who truly are trying to know, because I was there once truly trying to know. And I did it in a very raw way where God said, yo, I like this person right here. I'm starting to see you on a spiritual sense, not in a physical sense, like, oh, you got a good job, you did it, and you got a good title in the Matrix. Like, we all die one day. You have to be cultivating your spirit. So when I was coming with conviction, like, give me a sign, like, I will go to bat y'all in the afterlife. I'm gonna take on Satan and you. It was like, boop, I lit up in the spiritual realm. It was like, oh, that soul is ready. So that's how I take it. Much love. And I almost said my my outro from my other channel, but much love, you guys. Remember, you're divine. And I hope you guys like the story. Fuck it. I know some of you out there will like the story. And I'm out of here. Love y'all.